Is that your third one?
Don't talk about that.
That's how it starts. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Time to Sled podcast. This is me, Cameron.
And I am Cole.
Yep, and over there is Sven. So, so today we are back on our Unsolved Mysteries bullshit.
Ooh, shit.
So what?
Before we start, you told me to, because I told you the other day that I had like watched all of them.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's cool. That's fine.
So I watched all of them.
Yeah.
You know, I was just doing shit, and I was like, oh, this is great. These are great.
Yeah.
And then I forgot that me and Ashley canceled our Netflix.
Okay.
So, like when I went to go review it today, I was like, oh yeah, I don't have Netflix anymore.
Gotcha.
So I listened to a video just to recap on the episode.
That's cool.
We're gonna get Netflix again.
Okay.
But we're gonna like partner with like Ashley's parents or something.
Like
just pay them
business.
Yeah, like instead of paying like the normal, we're just gonna pay for like a piece and just pay them for like what a year would cost.
Okay. Thanks for telling us that.
You're welcome.
So everybody watched episode 2.
Yeah, and to be fair, just so that I know I'm listening to the right one, this is the hair salon one, right?
Correct.
Okay.
13 minutes.
Yeah. 13 minutes
Good.
is the title. Yeah.
Thank God.
It's happened in 2004.
Yeah.
That's the disappearance of Patrice Endress. I hope
Yeah.
I'm saying your last
I
name
think
right.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Pretty wild episode.
It's a crazy episode.
Yeah. So basically the premise of this episode was this woman, Patrice, it kind of opens up with her son, Pistol, right? Is his name. And he starts talking about how like he just went to school one day. It was a normal day. And then he gets a phone call from, the principal comes up to him and asks him if he could call his mom, and his mom doesn't answer. And apparently she was working at her salon when all of a sudden in the middle of the afternoon, she completely disappeared. And when police got there, all the cash was taken out of the register, but there was no signs of a struggle. There wasn't anything else that was like broken or like messed with or anything like that. And yeah, she just vanished, and her body wasn't discovered until 600 days later, right?
Yeah.
Exactly 600 days.
Yeah.
It's a crazy episode. There's all sorts of twists and turns, and like it's just a mind-blowing disappearance. But the craziest part is they introduce what was it? Rob, her husband.
Yeah.
I think that's what captivated all of the viewers of this episode.
For sure.
I mean, it's crazy because when they first introduce him, you feel for him. He's like, I lost my wife. You know, he's like getting all sad and shit, and you're like, man, that's so sad. He seems like such a sweet guy. But then they start getting into some details, and it first of all, it blew my mind that everybody was saying that they would get into arguments, and it wasn't just the son of the woman Patrice that would say that. Her friends would say that they argued all the time and all that shit. And the first time Rob is on camera talking about this, he says, "We never fought." And it's like, man, you're immediately coming straight out of the gate on a Netflix documentary saying something that multiple people contradict. Like,
Oh yeah, because he sends there was the point where somebody was talking about how like she had mentioned getting a divorce from him or leaving him, and then he was like, well, that's news to me.
Yeah, he said
first time I'm hearing about it.
First time I'm hearing about it on this Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Which if the son, if you're, imagine your parents, right? If you're the son and you are confident enough to tell a documentary film crew, knowing that this show's going to go national, that she talked to me about my mom talked to me about a divorce 2 weeks before she disappeared.
Yeah.
It's like, there has to be so many issues going on in that relationship in general for you to confidently say, yeah, she talked to me about a divorce. And then when you get the guy on camera saying it was the most perfect relationship you've ever heard in your life, immediately red flags are going to be raised, right? Now, he's like, of course, the main suspect after the documentary, but they talk about how there was kind of a false confession by another serial killer, right? Was there two? people that were kind of like suspects at one point because of what they said.
Yeah, but one of them actually confessed to murdering a salon person.
Yeah. One of them
that
said
was like their MO or whatever.
Right? Yeah, that he just went in and he decided to do it, and even the detective in the show said he told us things that we weren't sure just common knowledge people would know about, like that just like common people, he was hinting that maybe this guy was part of it because he knows some details that maybe weren't released to the public, but that kind of phased out throughout the documentary. I feel like they kind of overall said that, you know, false confessions happen, especially with crazy people who have killed a bunch of people before. They're just looking for more fame and all that shit. I can't remember, but I feel like one of them admitted that they didn't do it and they just said it. I can't remember 100% though. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that 2 witnesses saw a blue car parked outside of the salon with some kind of like altercation going on out front. I thought it was super important that the detective said, even in the documentary today, even though this happened in 2004, if somebody you know in that area drove a blue car and came home acting strange that day, this date when this woman disappeared, you need to call us because we're still like trying to figure out what's going on. It just shows you like how, man, these cases that they're talking about, it's entertainment for us, but it's real life shit that's still ongoing.
Well, it's like, can you imagine like these people, like the whole, you know, the title Unsolved Mysteries or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, these people have lived this long. Like, you know, so far, none of these were like just a couple of years ago. I mean, they're things that people have had to like grow up and live with and like alter their whole life because like nobody's ever given them answers. Like they haven't been able to, not that they can't trust the police to figure it out, but like so far the police haven't figured it out for them, which is like the only people they can put their confidence in.
Definitely.
So it's crazy to think that, you know, these people were basically told, we don't know. Or they were told, it's this, trust us.
Since 2004, these people have like not like just they've just been in like, you know, just depression like from all this stuff, like that with not having an answer
just like
has
limbo.
to be the worst thing ever. Not any closure. But now that the whole fucking nation knows about it, hopefully something can get done about it.
Just like your imagination just goes wild.
You know? It's crazy, and it's always so hard to, because like the mystery itself is so interesting to the viewers, but when they throw in the whole personal level, which is an awesome thing that the filmmakers do, where like the guy Pistol says that like from the time she disappeared, every day 600 days until her body was found, he would wake up every morning thinking, is this going to be the morning that my mom comes back home? And just says, like, I had to go take care of some personal things and all that stuff. Like, God, that's awful. Yeah. That's so fucked up.
And one thing, it's like, I think you guys said that's what the title was, 13 Minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the detective was like, he hit home a couple times by saying, like, I just want to know what happened in those 13 minutes. Because the reason it's titled that is because they can trace the phone calls.
Yeah, it was all
because
logged.
at the salon, she had clients that morning and, like, phone calls that she answered and things like that. And then like 10 minutes after one of those or whatever, there was, I can't remember what the time was, but there was another phone call that she didn't answer. And then from that moment, there was only 13 minutes that are unaccounted for. Yeah. And it's like, it's crazy to think, you know, before Chris got here and we started recording, you know, there's a certain amount of time where me and you were just kind of sitting here, like having conversations, setting stuff up, you know, getting ready. Yeah. And it's like literally just in that amount of time, somebody disappeared. Yeah. And nobody can put a handle on any details that have led to a conclusion to that.
And it was in a small town, normal people. Yeah. Like, man, was it like what's that shit could happen at any time.
Yeah. Like think of like our podcast lasts longer than that.
Yeah.
Like it's so
last time a whole ass person disappeared.
Yeah. And nobody can figure out anything about it. If anything, just more questions come from like, you know, all the evidence they've come up with.
Definitely. Well, let's talk more about what you guys have tuned in for in this Rob fella. It's just, this man is the craziest individual I've ever seen on camera. And let's start from the beginning. So, you know, there's the whole lies about him not arguing and him not knowing that there was any talk of divorce and all that stuff. But then the woman, his wife that he loves so much, disappears. She's not murdered. Like there's no like evidence of a murder, of a suicide, or anything like that to come out. And within 24 hours, he changes the locks on his house to lock out
her son.
The son, yeah.
Yeah. Who lives there.
Yeah. And I keep seeing this argument on the internet. If you think the woman you love disappeared, and you have to hold on hope, right? Like, you can't just think, well, she's dead. She's been gone for a few hours. She's definitely dead. You've got to hold on hope that maybe she'll come back.
Yeah.
What are you going to change the locks for? If this woman has one, like the person that has access to the house and that disappeared, you're going to change the locks?
Because at that point, your only thought should be like, maybe she ran away.
Yeah, and maybe she'll come home.
At worst, maybe she ran away.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the whole car being left there thing is a little strange and shit.
True.
And the money being taken from the register.
That's
which
true.
Is weird. Like, so that could lead to something more sinister. But at the same time, within 24 hours, so you're telling me you got like where they lived, I don't know how big of the city was or whatever, but like if that happened here, let's say like me or Ashley disappeared or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a whole trip to like Lowe's or like a Home Depot.
That's a good point.
Like
I didn't even think about the process of installing the new locks.
Like, you have to go shop, get locks, install them all within that same day.
While you're grieving, while you're like scared as shit.
Yeah, while you can't even think straight because apparently the most important person in your life is gone.
That's a really good point.
I didn't think about that until we were talking.
Yeah.
But like, that's fucking weird.
Chris, could you go shopping and get new set of locks and install them yourself on a whole ass house if the person you love the most in the world disappeared?
Not even.
Right? I don't think anybody would.
If my wife went missing, I would just be driving around at least for a week.
100%. I mean, look at the Ray Rivera case, episode 1.
Yeah.
They assembled their whole family and looked all over the city for the guy. They spent weeks doing that.
It's like after a week, I'd be like, okay, well, at least I'm calling more people. It's like, you know, obviously me driving around isn't much. And I say a week, who knows how long I'd really be doing that. But like,
you got to try though.
Nobody would think, like, even if I had proof Ashley was like murdered.
Yeah.
My first thought wouldn't be to change my locks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, if anything, if you know for a fact they're gone, like, you're going into full grief or whatever you'd call it. And like, the last thing I'm thinking of is shit like that. Right. I'm like devastated.
Yeah.
Talking 24 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Dude does a fucking home improvement project on his house, locking the sun out, which is a whole other detail that we're not even, like, that we said, but like isn't even a mental factor in there. Like, he's literally, that kid just lost his mom.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck you.
He said that he wasn't even allowed to get clothes. Yeah. His own clothes from his own room.
And he said it was for his safety and that he just didn't like him.
I know. That was the craziest thing. This guy Rob says, like, when asked about the reason why he changed locks is because he was like, I didn't feel safe. I wanted to just like, you know, like make sure I was protected and everything like that. And then when he starts talking about the son not being allowed in, he straight up says, I don't like him. Yeah. It's like he just lost his mom.
Yeah. And before he said he doesn't like him, he said it also for his safety, but he also said that for the kid's safety. Like, I'd locked him out so that he couldn't be home so that if anything bad happened. But then he follows it up with, like, plus I just didn't like him.
Right.
That makes no sense.
I know. I think he said something like, I don't want to be dragged down by, like, him nagging and stuff like that.
He did, yeah.
What?
And a weird detail that I listened to when I was listening to that recap somebody said.
Yeah.
Was I didn't even realize this the first time. I just thought it was, like, a stupid little detail. Mm-hmm. Was that the guy was like, I have a criminology degree.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that part. That's how he like opened up the start of the interview.
Which like this person that I was listening to was saying like, okay, well, yeah, if you were going to make somebody disappear and you had like knowledge of how that shit worked. I mean, the fact that he cockily said,
I know,
I have a criminology degree. Like when, you know, older people like just point shit out that's just like for attention.
Yeah.
I say older people. Anybody does that, but like
that's the thing. He comes out as a complete like psychopath, like narcissist. Because like you don't just like cockily say like I've got a criminology degree, so I know. And then I wanted to talk about how he even in the interview where he's just like, he gets to talk about his own stuff. He's probably asked questions in the interview, but like he's just talking about his own stuff. He organically like brings up himself that he has an alibi, that he has a receipt from the gas station and everything like that, and that it's physically impossible for him to have been at that location because of his alibi. Yeah. And it's like, I want to say, like, I imagine the filmmakers were like, dude, nobody asked you about that. What are you talking about?
And I can't remember. I don't know if you guys remember. I swear he said something. This isn't what he said, but something along the lines of like, prove it. Like after he was talking about the receipt and shit, he made, I can't remember what the line was, but it was some kind of comment like you, if you can prove that wasn't, if I wasn't at those places, then we can talk about that.
I think it was a comment after he was asked about all the people who think that he's the one responsible. Oh yeah, he's like, to all the people that think I did it, I say to them, prove it. Like, it's like, what the fuck, dude? It's just, he seems like a super sketch dude, and the fact that he already has his alibi and a receipt to go along with it, and that's already prepared.
Like, thing that he's gonna say. It's like, it's time stamped. Yeah, on the receipt. It's like,
seems premeditated, doesn't it? That shit was like he was out,
ready to talk about that.
I mean, if you have a criminology degree, one of the things that you probably think about is, man, if somebody in my wife goes missing, I'm gonna be looked at as a suspect. I better have a solid alibi. Let me make sure to get that first. So.
Yeah,
my theory. I like the theory the best that that it was a pay for or a hired kill, that he paid somebody to do it.
Yeah,
you guys want to talk about the ashes too?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna bring up the ashes. God. Yeah, I mean,
I was really surprised when that was the turn that was taken.
Right,
because basically she was. I guess first we got to talk about how she was found.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. That's a good point. So 600 days later,
it was. Think about that. That's like what, a year and a half or a year almost. It's not quite 2 years, but it's like 100 days shy of 2 years.
Yeah,
like
it's so long. And then
a long time.
And then a church volunteer, a church close to the woods, was following some like vultures, because he wanted to know like what they were after. And then like while he was searching in the woods, he found a skull, and he called the police, and the detective like searched the whole entire place. They spent like so much time looking, and they found almost every single bone.
Yeah, I think you said like 10 bones shy of, or like some like, I want to say the number was 10. Like they found like all but like 10. Something like that.
Yeah.
Or like less, other than 10% of the bones or something. But he numbered like how many bones are in the human body, and he's like, and we got just under that amount.
Yeah. He definitely said most of the bones had been found. And so the funeral home ended up getting the remains and everything like that, because they were preparing the funeral, and good old boy Rob calls up the dude at the funeral home and is like, yo, can you lay out all the bones to form the skeleton of my dead wife, and then just leave me alone for like 15 minutes so I can hang out with her?
Which is so crazy. I was listening to this recap, right? And I didn't catch that part when I watched it the first time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, I caught that he went and, like, the whole thing we'll talk about with the skull and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him being, like, the request of putting them in the shape of a human body.
Right.
I thought that was just, like...
something they just did.
I guess. Like, I don't remember that being a thing that he said he asked for, but this person also pointed out, the thing I was listening to was, like, it's weird that he requested that they, like, lay it out for him. Like, he had a request.
Even the funeral home guy was like, we don't normally get those kind of requests, but it's a man grieving for his wife, so you don't ask any questions. And I mean, I guess if you're just a really strange individual and you're actually mourning the death of someone you loved a lot, I guess
here's the thing,
that could make sense.
I'm a very nostalgic person. Like, crazy nostalgic person. Yeah. I could see myself asking them to do that. Which is weird. Yeah. I can agree right now that is so strange. But when I take a step back, I'm sitting there like, well, I would rather not look at a pile of bones. Like, I'd rather be
Why
like...
would you want to look at the bones at all?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I'm nostalgic. You know, like, it's fucking weird.
I love how your argument is like, well, I'd rather look at a complete, like, organized set of bones than a pile of bones. And it's like bro, why would you look at the bones?
Like, I guess, yeah, there's not even a question of bones. I guess that's going into, like, I just assume I guess it's like, it's not like he has to identify them. Like, how would he know? I guess if that's the case, I was going into it thinking like, oh, I have to see it no matter what.
Well, if the forensic person came back and said the dental records, like, these bones are your wife's bones, would you still be like, can I see them bones?
Honestly, I'd probably want to see them. I know that's weird.
I mean, I guess.
Here's the thing. I want you to know before I talk anymore and dig myself in the hole that I agree 100% with our side. That, like, I'm still on the position of what a fucking weirdo this guy is, right? Yeah. Weird asshole. But also, I would want to see my wife's bones, and I honestly would probably prefer that they were laid out in human form.
Okay.
And honestly, I would probably spend 10 minutes by myself in that room. Like, just collecting yourself. Just, like, talking to myself and being a fucking crazy person.
Next question. Would you grab her skull, walk around with it, and then kiss it, and then put it back?
There is no doubt in my mind that I would do that.
And, all right.
But I am also agreeing, how fucking weird of this weirdo, right?
I think, to be fair,
I don't know if I'd kiss it.
It's weird because of all the other things that he's done. Like, the things that led up to that moment, it just adds to the weirdness. Yeah. But if you're a completely normal person actually greeting your wife,
backpedal and be like, here's why it's okay, you know?
then I would say I wouldn't judge you if you did that.
Here's the thing. I also wouldn't flaunt that I ever did that. I would never tell anybody that I did that.
That's a really good point.
Which I never thought about.
Why at all would he disclose that?
Yeah. Because my thing is like, okay, and this is so fucked up and morbid, kind of like, let's say that was in front of me, like her skeleton. I don't know if I necessarily pick up the skull. Like, I'm just talking about, like, is it weird that he did it? Like, yes, it fucking is, but I could see myself doing it. Yeah. But, like, my first thought wouldn't be like, okay, I guess if I'm actually in that position, I wouldn't think, like, I'm going to pick up that skull and walk around with it. If anything, I would want to be able to, like, you know, I'd probably honestly just, like, I'd touch a bone and, like, be like, this is the closest that I'll ever get to, like, touching what my wife is, you know? Yeah. And that would, like, make me emotional and stuff.
Well, like, that's a completely normal thing to do for, like, people that have actual bodies in front of them, you know? Yeah, if you're going to identify, or it's, like, a wake or something like that, you want to...
Like, this is the last time, the closest I'll ever be to what was, kind of.
Yeah.
I would 100% do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would actually pick up her skull and walk around with it. Because he like cradled it basically forever, and then before he left, he kissed it and put it back.
Yeah, like, he gave a very descriptive...
I don't know if I'd do that. I might touch it, but I don't know if now that I'm sitting there, I don't know if I'd kiss it.
Well, like, you guys...
but at the same time, to me... in that situation, when you remove the other weird shit, it's not that weird if I guess he kisses or not, but like... When you include everything else, it's fucking crazy.
You're right, though. Like, people grieving do some really weird stuff that doesn't make sense in an everyday, you know, sort of scenario.
Yeah, and like with me, like being an extra nostalgic person, like I fucking want to go buy every house I've ever lived in just to fucking walk through it.
That's true. Like, you're like I'm crazy nostalgic about dates and everything like that.
Yeah, so it's and I don't know why that is, but like I get super emotional over like dumb shit. Like, that's nostalgic. So, extreme example, but, and not that that's, like, special, but, like, you know, it's a fucking problem, but it's weird that he has all these other fucking, like the locks thing and the fucking control issues and the complete absent-mindedness of the fucking divorce and the fact that they never fought and, like, just the creepiness behind it.
Control issues is a good point to bring up, too. Yeah. A lot of our friends on the documentary talked about how he was very jealous. He was a very jealous person, even with her friends. And he'd get this possessive... controlling personality with her. There was a huge age difference too.
I forgot about that.
Psychologically, I feel like that could make sense. I'm not knocking on people that have an age difference in relationships, but if you're the type of person that's very controlling and you've got a younger, like, attractive wife, you're going to, like, that guy probably is going to be super paranoid about shit, even with, like, the relationship with her son, which is insane.
Yeah, but he was jealous of that.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest shit ever.
And then it comes to we have gotten to the point where at the end of the documentary, he opens up the box of ashes and starts talking about it.
Which is also crazy because, right, didn't he say, like, I've never opened this?
Yeah.
But he says he sleeps with it.
Exactly. He said he slept with it like a teddy bear for months after he got the remains.
He's like, because it felt like she was with me. Like,
and then in front of a camera crew, he makes a big dramatic scene about it's the first time that he's opened it, and he like gets emotional and all that stuff. And it's like to me, like, and I would hate if I was wrong and he's actually innocent and he's actually just a weird dude grieving, but like, it seems so set up. It seemed like he was putting on such an act for the cameras. That's the thing I got.
100%. And I don't know about you guys, but so like, I thought it was weird at first, but then when you said it, I was like, okay, let's say, you know, one of our wives died, or somebody when we're younger, and there was no problems, and they just died unexpectedly and got cremated normal. We didn't have to wait years to know or anything like that. Like, there might be a person who would put the ashes in the bed.
Yeah.
Like, I can see that not being too far-fetched, but at the same time, like, you know, or like putting them on the nightstand, or like just keeping them in the room or something, like at first until they get over it and shit, and like they move on. But like, he was really playing up the whole like, I cuddle with it, and that's why the box is crinkly. Shit. And then the fact that like, if he is that controlling, you've never opened it.
Is also I hear every single one of those. Just saying.
Oh my god.
It is also weird that what I don't even know what point I was gonna bring up. I just had it and it just escaped me.
Well, you were talking about him playing it up on camera.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like,
yeah.
Like he's like, oh, I've been waiting for this attention.
Yeah.
But
it's fucked up.
What you're thinking? I don't know. Yeah. God. My throat is making some noises.
If there's anything I learned on this podcast, it's that Cameron is a huge defender of Rob Endres. I mean, he thinks he's straight up innocent.
He's fucking innocent.
Cameron loves this guy.
You know what? These filmmakers took interviews, right?
They made him say that stuff.
Just like they do with politicians, and they frame it, they take all these cuts. Like what we do to make stuff look pretty, they do to make stuff look awful.
We don't have time for this. But yeah, I mean, just the way the dude presented himself is super sketch. Yeah, and really Chris, verdict. I mean, what do you think? What do you think happened to her? What's your theory on it?
It's hard to pull a conclusion out of all this. There's a lot of missing information that, a lot of stuff that doesn't really make sense. Loose ends, of course, that's the whole point of it. But
personally, I also think it's strange that the one thing that was missing was her wedding ring. I can see a crazy possessive person like Rob taking that as a souvenir.
But they found bones, and how are you going to find a ring if there's no actual body?
That's true, I guess. But if they're searching an area so,
you can metal detect for a ring, can't you?
Yeah, which I'm sure.
Which I don't know if they did. They didn't say, but you would think they would have done something.
But a bird could have picked it up or something.
That's true. Birds have stolen rings before to put because it's like shiny and shit. They want it for their nest.
That's true.
That's a crazy specific theory, but damn,
fucking
it makes sense.
You thought a lot about this, Chris.
Cameron, theory?
I'm definitely on the side where it was hired.
Me too.
Or it was, I mean, me and you have talked about people that, they're just like weird little side. They just have like friends that are like can make people disappear. Like there was always somebody who's got I got a friend who can make somebody disappear.
Tiger King shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just like he, based on his like weird confidence and all that shit, he looks like one of those people who would totally have a conversation like that. Yeah. Like if none of this has happened, he'd be like, "Yeah, I know a guy that can make you disappear." Yeah. Like in a conversation. Yeah. And it's like people like that fucking exist.
I know, man. So I think he got wind that she was going to divorce him. Him being a crazy possessive psychopath that he is, said, "I'm not going to have that. I'm going to kill you and then keep you forever. Your ashes and shit." Yeah. And then he hired somebody to do it. And he made sure he had an alibi and all that shit.
Wouldn't it be, I don't know if I'm long ago, wouldn't it be fucking insane if, all right, it's that close.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
We're at 29:15.
Oh shit.
All right. Well, again, we're running late on time, but it's fun talking about this stuff, you guys.
It really is.
So super good episode. Next episode, is that the Kansas one?
I think I don't know.
I can't remember.
No, Kansas is episode 4, right?
Kansas is a little deeper.
Third one's the French one. All right, so we'll come back with you guys in a couple weeks with a new episode of Unsolved Mysteries. I hope you guys like it. Make sure to subscribe and all that shit.